Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic medium. I've got my good friend Kevin from Kevin's Loving Vibrations here. Thanks so much for joining us. How are you, Kevin? You doing all right?
I'm doing okay, hanging in there, dealing with all this collective stress. But
That's my
I've had some
answer to
good
everybody.
strategy.
I'm hanging
Yeah,
in there.
hanging in there. I'm sure everybody can relate.
Yeah, we're all just
Yeah,
hanging in there. Well, I'm glad you guys joined us. Thank you so much
yeah.
for joining us tonight. We are going to be talking to you guys about politics. We're both psychics. Kevin is a Reiki master and a tarot reader, healer. He's a teacher, all kinds of things. If you're interested in what he's got going on, you can look him up at kevinslovingvibrations.com. It should be in the description. But do you have
Thanks,
anything
Susan.
coming up, Kevin, you want to talk about? You got classes coming up, don't you?
Yes, I want to say first off, thank you. I was on your channel last month and we were talking about Holy Fire Reiki, and I had so many people in the chat leaving wonderful experiences, but I've had a lot of people even emailing me and booking sessions since then, and even some other Reiki masters that were really impressed with the energy
Nice.
coming through. So thank you for allowing me to share with your audience. Um, I do have classes actually coming up this weekend, so I've been distracting myself from the news as much as
I
possible
know,
and
right?
focusing in on that. But I do have in May I have two separate classes for Holy Fire Level 1 and 2, and you can see all that information on my website kevinslovingvibrations.com. But we have some openings. One's almost full, but I have a completely empty other class.
Awesome. He's a great
Yes.
teacher, you guys, and he does small groups online.
Yeah, I do
So,
six
and
students, so it's
yeah,
more
so
intimate.
it's more intimate. You really get it. And I really love Reiki because if you just want to open your senses, you want to open your
Yeah,
chakras, you want to open your intuitive senses, it's a great way to do it. And this is a good
absolutely.
time to be pouring into you, to taking
Yeah,
care of you,
raising the vibrations and the
raising the
heavy
vibration,
energy. Yeah.
do everything you can, right? All right. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, so good to see everybody. Let's see. Let's grab a couple of questions and get rolling.
Yeah.
Seascape is lurking today. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. I get it. But thank you for being a moderator. Thank you to all the moderators. We appreciate you.
Yes.
I did not, I think Kevin and I, neither of us watched the debacle last night of the State of the Union
I
address.
wanted to keep my dinner down.
We watched some, maybe highlights or something, but I was just telling
Mhm.
Kevin before we went live that I love this little clip that I shared on my Threads account where
Yeah.
45 is walking up to the SCOTUS, to the Supreme Court justices that were there. Ketanji was not there, smart woman. And he walks right past Amy Coney Barrett. But the cameras got her clear in the screen because she's just behind him. And she
Mhm.
makes that same look that Melania made. Remember when Melania was like, rolling her eyes like, oh my God, what a blowhard.
Mm.
I swear to God, she looked just like Melania. I'm like, this guy's got a way with women, doesn't he? Wow. So I love that for him. I love that for us, that maybe Amy Coney Barrett's going to not necessarily just rubber stamp everything that he
Yeah.
wants her to do the way
Mhm.
Roberts has done to a large degree. I mean, today apparently they did stand up to him, and I see that. I kind of see a patchwork. I'd be interested to see
Mhm.
what you see, Kevin. But I kind of
Yeah.
see the Supreme Court not rubber stamping everything. I see them, no, not this, yes, this, no, not this, yes. I don't know if there's rhyme or reason behind it, but I feel like they don't hand him everything. What do you think?
I agree. I agree. It's almost like a 50-50 kind of draw. Like we'll hand you some of the stuff with like your abuse of executive orders, but for some things like the budget and money that's already been appropriated, and I think really fundamental decisions that need to come out of, you know, our checks and balances, are the houses. Um, I agree. I do feel, Robertson and Comey Barrett kind of standing the line with more of the liberals on some of those cases.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like the only check that he has right now, besides
I
I think
know.
us standing up and protesting, which I feel a lot of too. So the energy is just so heavy right now and so dense. It's telling you, we literally cut it with a knife, and because you can see and feel it so strongly.
That's how I feel it. I mean, I'm not a
Mhm.
Reiki person, but we all feel energy however
Oh
you
yeah,
feel it. And it just feels heavy, super
yeah,
heavy. Um, and you were saying, Kevin was saying that did you feel like it's building, like something might be, we're coming onto this eclipse. There's a lot of astrology in
yeah.
March. And honestly, Kevin, Kevin and I are on each other's channels usually once a month. So we've been doing this for like a year or more.
Mm,
Last year, both of us kept saying March and April of 2025.
mm.
This is way before Kamala
Yeah.
probably was even in the race. This is when Biden was president. So this energy is building, and here we are, front row
Yeah.
seats, right? So do you feel like the energy is still kind of percolating or
Oh yeah,
building?
absolutely. That's what I mean. It's like there's something big's about to happen. The energy's so heavy right now. But um we were kind of chatting beforehand. I don't know if it's because of his agenda and it's collectively all of our stress and heaviness. It feels like it's a bit of both, to be honest with you. Like
Yes.
we're going to start to see the downfall of Trump very soon, but also too, it's not going to be an easy time for us collectively to kind of manage through it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I had a really strong hit, not this last weekend, but the weekend before. So like a week and a half ago, and the energy was so heavy. Actually, my body had like a really weird response to it. It was like I almost somebody like sucker punched me in the stomach and drew all of the wind out of me, and I almost felt like I almost was unstable and almost falling down to my knees. But that's this heavy energy that we're getting into. With it, I felt like there may be some kind of military response. Um, I was feeling like military helicopters and planes, and I was hearing them. So something big, I think, on a military front, but also the earthquakes and the earth activity, the earth shifts are going to be really really big too. I'm feeling a really big one. I'm feeling more towards Asia, but I think even like the West Coast, there's going to be a lot of activity with that too.
Yeah. I
But
totally
it was
agree.
kind
I'm
of
getting that.
crazy. My crown was buzzing like crazy, but it like knocked the wind out of me.
So you didn't get
Really strong.
nauseous. It was more like, "Ugh," like that.
Yeah, it was like I almost fell to my knees. But oftentimes when there is earth releases, it makes me feel nauseous to my stomach. So I feel it in the solar plexus a lot, but I guess I felt it in the sense of it felt like I got sucker punched in the stomach, but not necessarily nauseous, but just a
Okay.
heaviness. Mhm.
Wow. Wow. So what chakras in what chakra would you connect to that?
Well, I'm very empathic, and so I receive a lot of information through like that solar plexus, like that gut feeling.
Oh, the gut feeling. And what is
hmm
gut like? What is the solar plexus,
It's
represent?
it's all about standing in your power and inner strength, and
Okay.
it relates to the digestive organs as well. Um, but yeah, oftentimes, if we're in doubt or feeling very stuck, we have heavy lessons or traumas that we learn. We hold it in there. Even sometimes a bit of like uh, repressed anger. I feel like a
Mm.
lot of times we'll hold it in the solar plexus too. From my own
You're
experience, I can say that. Yeah.
yeah, the guides are reminding me, I think they call it the second brain. I think they call the gut
Yeah.
the second brain. So yeah, I was just thinking, I was trying to match it to something that might be happening, right? Like, so
Mhm.
we'll have to wait and see. Um,
Yeah.
I kind of feel like it's going to be a lot of things. I don't think it's going to be
Mhm.
any one thing. I think it's going to be just
Collective, many
a
things. Yeah.
collective, a lot of things.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
but yeah, breathe, release this energy. Don't hold it
Mhm.
in your body. It's bad, bad, bad to hold it in your body. Release it, get rid of it. Don't take it on.
Yeah,
We really don't want to take on that energy. Vivian, yes, if you're just
absolutely.
joining us, he does have a new Reiki class coming up in May, I think you said.
Yeah, yeah.
So check out his website, kevinslovingvibrations.com. They're very
Mhm.
small classes, very intimate. So if you're interested, you might want to grab a seat. And I can just say I have not taken a class with Kevin. I've had readings. He's amazing. And I would say that I love the idea of the intimate, the small class.
Yeah.
It's really nice, and it can really open your intuition. So yeah,
It was really interesting between classes, because I do a couple of weeks breaks, hearing all of my students experiences with weird psychic phenomena or spiritual messengers coming through in between the breaks. It was cool to catch up and see how everybody's experience was with it. But yeah, I like the one-on-one, keeping the classes small,
yeah,
so that I can
nice.
be attentive to everybody's needs and questions. So yeah, very interactive class as well.
Love it.
Yeah.
Let's throw this up here. I know that Kevin probably feels the same way, but I am heartsick
Mhm.
about how we've treated Canada.
Yeah.
And I don't blame Canada for kicking us in our booty in return, even though it's going to hurt all of our northern, well, you're north, but I don't know if you're northern. I don't know if your area gets electricity from Canada, but apparently a lot of northern states do.
Yeah.
And SJ wants to know, I always thought us attacking Canada was too crazy, even for Trump. Now I'm not so sure. What do you see as possible? I don't see him attacking Canada.
No.
He's bravado and bluffing. Also, I want to ask this follow-up question to you. But what do you think about the Canada situation?
No, I don't see America taking over Canada and making it the 51st state. I don't see that.
They
Um,
would kick our butts.
yeah. Well, and it's all about pressuring, to get his agenda passed, and just to be a tough guy. I mean, all of our alliances, I mean, we're kind of a joke right now, to the world. Um,
It's so sad.
I mean, I know that what was it, a day or two ago, they started the tariffs. I I would be curious to know what you feel about this, because I feel like they're going to backfire quickly, and I don't see them staying in there for long. It feels like it's a month or two
He's
before he kind of
already
reverts.
talking about rescinding them. He's
Is he?
already talking about rescinding them. And that was my follow-up question to you,
Okay.
because
Okay.
because it turns out that when he did that, the stock market tanked, and now people are saying that it's pump and dump, right?
Yeah.
So when it tanked, all the rich people ran in and bought, it's a sale for them.
Mm,
It's just a good sale. It doesn't hurt them. So that's illegal. Pump and dump is illegal. And if do you feel like 45 could get in trouble for this, or do you feel like he's going to get sanctioned or stopped or
I mean,
anything at all? Or are we just going to pretend like he isn't manipulating the market, basically?
yeah. Well, and I think there was a lot of manipulation in this first term too, and we didn't really see a
Yes.
whole lot of accountability there either. I don't know. I'm not necessarily picking up him being held accountable for that,
Me
but
either.
I do feel like for other things, and maybe
Yeah.
that's part of this heaviness too, is I feel like there's going to be massive protests and civil unrest within our country, and I would not be surprised if he uses as an excuse to try to turn
Yes.
the military on people and declare
Yes.
martial law, and I don't see Republicans standing for that. All I know, as crazy as that seems, they all kind of kiss the ring, but no, I see him doing something that it's even extreme for most of the Republicans,
Yeah.
and that's where I feel like he'll be held accountable.
Do you feel like, I need to get to this question, but do you feel like,
Mhm.
we've talked about this a lot, but do you feel like the election interference is ever going to be public? And do you feel like it's going to ever, that he's going to be held accountable
Mhm.
for that?
Yeah, I see it coming public. I don't know if it's happening in March with the heavy energy. It may be a little bit later, but
I feel like it's later.
absolutely, it may be. I absolutely see it coming out. I don't know it. I don't see Trump in there for too long, and I've said that I would be surprised if he's in there for a year. But I don't see JD Vance as president either. So my
And we
only
never have.
logical thinking with that would be it would come out from either some kind of impeachment of both of them, or election interference. But doesn't necessarily mean that I don't necessarily feel Kamala jumping right into it. It feels like it's kind of uncharted waters. Like, what do we do in this situation? Maybe
When
having a
it
new
would
election.
be.
Hmm.
It would be completely uncharted waters. I keep getting treason. And when you see Marco Rubio sitting in that couch when they were in the Oval Office and Marco was sitting there and he was just looking like he wanted to disappear into the couch. Every
I
time I
know.
see him, I think this man is thinking, I'm going to be in prison for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I'm going to be in a gulag. I'm going to be locked up, key thrown away. I mean, he knows what's happening. I believe he thinks what's happening is illegal.
Yeah.
And he's like, what have I got myself into? So
I
yeah,
agree
I feel like
100%.
all this is going to come, the house of cards is going to come down on these people. And it's just a matter of when.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, it
but
was
I
the
think,
same thing too, Susan, when he was in Saudi with the Russians. He looked embarrassed and ashamed, but he's too much of a coward to really
but
stand
then
up
he
for what's
turns
right.
around and does the
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
he turns around and gave that talk. And afterwards it was like, rah, 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 you know,
Mhm.
uh, yeah, he's a coward. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
So here's a good question from me because I get this, Miralba. Is he working with bad players to take the power grid out and blame Canada? Now, I'm not sure how it happens, but I've been getting that the
Mm.
power grid could really go down. And the
Okay.
guides keep saying like 9/11, like when everything was, or after the pandemic, when their planes weren't flying, nothing was happening. We just kind of time out, just kind of like this.
Yeah.
Everything comes to a stop, this kind of timeout. Do you get any sense about that?
I don't I've had people ask me about taking a reading on the power grid, and I did feel like there may be some minor power outages, but nothing like super significant is what I was picking up. But I wouldn't be surprised if what you're picking up is another kind of attack on our country, on our mainland.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. And he'll blame it on, I mean, you're right. He'll blame it on somebody. I mean, that's the whole
Well, he
point.
never takes accountability for anything that he does.
No,
It's
I mean,
always Biden's or Democrats' fault. I mean, it's just crazy.
it
But
is
that's what he
crazy.
does. Mhm.
Yeah,
But I
I
don't
agree.
necessarily I would say I know that I think there are a few states that Canada provides, energy to.
Yes.
And I think it's more of like Wisconsin, Michigan, like some of
Michigan,
the
the border.
borders, yeah. Um, and I think that they threatened on, turning the power out if they continue with the tariffs. I don't know if I see that necessarily happening, but if it were, I mean, you can of course, he's gonna blame Canada and just continue to escalate things.
Wow.
Yeah.
The problem with reading 45 is he's so diabolical. He's so
Mhm.
scattered that you can't, his energy one minute he's going to do this and the next minute is that, right? So it's
Yeah.
very hard to read him. I mean,
Because he's
generally
not
we know
rational.
he's
He's not
irrational,
rational.
right?
Yeah.
And then he's got whoever his bosses are that are telling him what to do, right?
Mhm.
So it's kind of hard to read him all the time. Um,
Yeah. And not to mention all of the collective stress and energy. It's very murky kind of getting through some of the energies
you don't
right
even
now.
want to be in it to begin with, right?
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
People were asking too. I was saying I don't see Vance as president when Trump's out, but I don't see Mike Johnson as president. No, and he
I
would be
don't
up
see him
next down the
either.
line.
You know, I don't see him either. And I think you make a really good point that probably needs to be made a little bit bigger, which is
Mm.
we are in uncharted waters. Like
Yeah.
I think the Constitution takes into account the president, the vice president, and that was only because of the assassinations, right? So they added these things, but then it goes to the speaker. There might be
Hmm.
one more, there might be one more fail safe thing, but basically, if we're going to take all those people out, which I think that they're all part of this coup. So I think they would
Hmm.
be. I keep hearing treason. I keep
Yeah.
hearing
Well,
treason,
stealing an
basically.
election and working with an adversary to steal it, I would consider to be treason, wouldn't
Right.
you? Yeah.
Right. I would consider that. I would
Allegedly.
definitely consider that.
Yeah.
Do you see 45, or because this is another thing that makes sense that I said last year, but I didn't understand it. The guide said last year, they kept saying the War Powers Act. And I kept saying, I don't understand the War Powers Act, because the War Powers Act is Congress has to declare war. And Biden could declare war, but it's not the War Powers Act. So now I'm starting to think, what if 45 declares war and Congress says, no, you have to go through the War Power Act? Do you think that 45 is going to do that? Do you think he's going to declare war on somebody?
I'm not picking that up necessarily.
Okay. I'm not either. What I could see that he would do, which would also be treason, is sending troops to Russia under the guise of exercises or peacekeeping or some totally BS thing.
Oh yeah.
But in reality, right, it's like our troops are over there on the wrong side of the war.
Well, do you think the military would follow those orders? I don't. I almost feel like that would be that may be a plan that he wants to do, but does he follow through with it? I think that there would be such an uproar with sending troops to help Russia. I don't see that happening.
I think a lot of the generals, even the ones that, he took out the generals that were black and, whoever he didn't like, and then promoted some junior generals. But I think some of these, I just don't see it. I don't see the military as a whole going against us. There's always going to be a rotten apple here or there, but I don't see the military going against us.
Yeah. Well, but I think if he tried something like that, that would very much probably call for his removal as well. So I wouldn't put it past him, because we know
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, we know whose puppet he is. Putin's puppet.
I know.
As we said in 2016.
And the media is just now catching on. Wow, we think he's an asset to the. We're we've been saying this for like 4 or 5 years. No,
longer than that.
8
like
years,
the last decade.
10 years. I don't know how many years. But that's what I think could be a real trigger. If he orders troops to Russia, I really think it's lights out. I think that's treason. I think that would be the bridge too far, and I think that would start some gears moving, hopefully.
I agree. But I almost feel like it may be a call to use military on our own people for.
No, I agree. I got that last year too. I got Kent State last year, and I was like, why am I getting Kent State? Biden was our president. Why would I be getting Kent State? Well, guess what? This is where I think that that could happen. Oh, hey, Kevin's here. Kevin Lewis Medium. Good to see you. So how do you feel about the protests? Now they've changed the law or something. They're starting to try to, or he's creating these edicts, these whatever they are, special orders, saying that if you protest, you're going to get in big trouble. If you're a student, if you're a foreign student and you protest, we're gonna deport you. Do you feel like it's safe, or do you feel like people don't care? Because you're picking up some military kind of, some heads butting down.
Well, I do think he's going to try to take away, our freedom of speech. I mean, I think that's very clear. He doesn't want any opposition. But I don't feel. I feel like that would be something that would be taken up with the Supreme Court, and they would rule against Trump and what he's trying to do, to remove that. But I do see. I mean, I would be very cautious if you plan to protest, especially in some states where there's Republican governors or Republicans in charge of those states. I would be very cautious about it, but also too, I think it's going to get to a boiling point where people aren't going to care because they're just so unhappy. Their way of their means to live is being hurt. They can't make ends meet. They can't afford everything. I just feel like the anger boiling up to a point where people aren't going to care about the possible actions taken against them. Their truth will be told.
Wow, I agree. I totally agree with you. And the guides have been saying, you guys, if you've got tattoos, put a Band-Aid over them, wear long shirts, cover up any identifying things, wear sunglasses, wear a mask, wear a hat. And I think it's really a great idea. They said everybody agree to wear like gray hoodies and black sweatpants or something. Like, can you imagine 1,000 people all dressed the same? it would blow their mind. They would freak out.
Mm,
I
yeah.
actually think the Republican Party would freak out. Like ID us now. I mean, of course, if they arrest you, they can ID you, but they're gonna have a hard time. It's just like, what they do with the P boys, with their little khakis and stuff. But I mean, why not? We
Yeah.
have to protect ourselves, you guys. That's
Yeah.
that. Oh
But
yeah,
like you
no
said,
mask. Right. He
mhm,
did an executive order, no mask. Can
imagine
you
that.
believe that? That's just the stuff he's doing is insane.
But weren't some of his people just out there not that long ago wearing masks so that their
Yes,
identities wouldn't be revealed? Exactly.
yes, they were.
Yeah.
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 But it's not nothing is legal.
Yeah.
But he's doing so many special orders that the courts are going to be jammed with all these lawsuits. And
Mhm.
it's nuts. But
Yeah.
but we're going to get through it. This isn't the end of democracy. I don't see it being the end of democracy.
I
Do you
agree.
see it being the end of democracy, Kevin?
No, I don't. But like I said, it's like those guardrails in that are placed there. He's going to try to push with his own executive actions, and right now we're not seeing a whole lot of Republicans going against him or um, going against him taking their power away in Congress and all of
Yeah.
that. But it will be, I think, a lot of blue governors and blue states that stand up to him and the courts. But I also think it's going to get to a point where we're going to demand, um, you know, just to stand up for what we believe in and stand against what he represents. Um, I mean, I know for myself, I think that that's a sacrifice that I'd be willing to make to go protest to stand up for what's right because our
Nice.
democracy is that important. So I mean I'm not one to try to live in fear of anything, but yeah, I see this happening on both sides. I mean, we're already seeing Republicans coming up to town halls and um, arguing and booing Republican Congress people, and I just feel like this energy, this anger, continuing on against the agenda there.
I
So,
think it's going to get higher. I think people
oh yeah,
are going
oh
to be
absolutely.
more mad at Tesla and Musk, more mad
Hmm.
at 45, especially when the MAGA start realizing that white people get more of that kind of government assistance than anybody. So when they figure out that they're not going to get their Section 8 HUD, they're not going to get their
Hmm.
Medicaid, their prescriptions are going to go through the roof, and they realize who's responsible for that.
Yeah,
I think they're going to be in the streets more than us.
I agree. I agree.
It's not a ban on the mask. I don't know what he has these edicts. The guides call them edicts because I think that's what authoritarians issue, but there are
Mm,
special orders or whatever. I don't think it's enforceable, but as we saw during the pandemic, your local city could make laws or rules. So you
mm,
really have to pay attention to what's going on in your local city. Like Kevin said, depending on where you live, things could be very different.
yeah.
You might be able to protest in San Francisco, but not in Houston or whatever.
Mm,
So we have to be careful.
absolutely.
Somebody had a good question. Have you heard about the Tate brothers? Does everybody know who the Tate brothers are?
Yeah.
The two misogynistic, allegedly rapist people, guys that they were in some other country, and the country finally said, "That's it. We've had enough of you." They're very, very rich too,
Mhm.
um, and put them in jail. And now they're in the United States. And I've heard a couple of reasons as to why they're here. One was more rationalized than the other one. But here they are. They're in Florida. DeSantis doesn't want them there. He's like, why are these criminals here?
Yeah.
Of course, they're there visiting 45. But
Mhm.
now the Florida government is trying to bring charges against them. Uh,
Interesting.
yeah. So do you see them getting out of the United States, or do you see them being held here, or do you see them
I
going back to jail?
When I heard about that, I actually saw both of them in handcuffs again, so I would not be surprised if maybe there's some state charges pressed against them,
Nice.
and then, somebody wouldn't have the power to pardon them. I see
Right.
that I see a lot of charges against them, and I feel jail time,
Yeah, I do too. I
significant
don't
jail
see
time.
them. I don't see them getting out. Um,
Mhm.
do you see 45 pardoning Diddy?
Oh, that's interesting. Let me throw a couple cards on it. My first thought is he may try it.
He may.
Mm-hmm.
He may. If he was a
I'm
white
not
guy,
kidding
he'd
him
already be
now. He's
pardoned.
considering it. I see him actively considering it.
You know, he's trying to figure out what's in it for him.
Mm-hmm. Well, isn't it interesting too? A lot of the MAGAs are pissed off with his um, attorney general with the Epstein files not even releasing names and all of that.
I know it. I know. Well, those poor maggots, they're still waiting for their $5,000 check that Trump promised them. I mean, they're really waiting. Now, I'm not saying Trump may not, he may come out with some Trump bucks, or I don't know what he's going
Right.
to do, but it's not going to be 5,000.
I feel like he may pardon him. There's
Yeah.
friendship, and it's all about the money, the relationships there.
Mhm.
He's going to rule with an iron fist, and it's a turning point. It kind of shifts things. I don't know. My first thought was yes, he may. Maybe not quite. It may be a little while still before he does that, but yeah, I would not be surprised.
But he's talking actually about pardoning Derek Chauvin, whatever that guy's name is. And online, and I think this is a good thing, a lot of Black content creators are saying, don't riot.
Mm-hmm.
If he does this, don't riot, because you're playing into his pocket. You know what I mean? Like, they'll use this as an excuse to arrest everybody. So I'm glad that people are talking and thinking about this stuff before it happens, because we don't want to play into their plans.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, though, I do see it getting to that point where people just have enough, and it's gonna.
They will, and they won't care. But I mean, over Derek Chauvin, I don't know.
You know.
Do you see Derek being pardoned? Because I feel like he is.
See, my first thought was no, actually, surprisingly, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Maybe then
trying to
good.
do that. Yeah, I mean, I could see him absolutely doing that, but when I asked, I heard no. I don't know. I feel more optimistic about P. Diddy being pardoned than Derek Chauvin.
Oh my God. Well, you know, Trump is a strategist. He's gonna do the best thing for him. If he thinks he can, if he, it's just like they're showing me Snoop Dogg, right? If he can trot somebody out and say, hey, this person's on my team, you should be on my team. If he thinks that wins him more popularity, he's going to do it. If Chauvin doesn't win him anything, then he's like, let that guy rot, you know?
People are saying in the chat that he's on state charges, so he can't be pardoned. And I got
great. There you go.
I got restriction here, being restricted.
Chauvin is on state charges. Perfect. There you go.
He may have some federal charges as well that could be pardoned, but not the state.
Good.
Was that Wisconsin?
Right. That's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure they have a Democratic governor. What's your feelings about the budget? Do you feel like we're about to head into a government shutdown? And that I think is on the day of the eclipse and the Ides of March start the next day?
It's insane, right? Oh my gosh, it's crazy. I think it might actually pass. I could be wrong, but I'm getting an 11th hour. It might pass.
It might pass, like, because I think the only way they'll get it passed is if they do another CR. But I think they still need Democratic support in the Senate, because I think you need a 60 vote
I get
majority. And I don't, if they're not coming to the table with anything for Democrats, I don't see Democrats helping Republicans. I actually feel like it's going to be chaos between both the Congress and the Senate. Yeah.
It could be chaos. Here's the problem. Jeffries is going to think, if I don't get my people to vote for this, then I own the fact that it's chaos. He doesn't want the Democrats to own the government shutdown.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. That's what I'm picking up on, is the Democrats don't want to own it. And so they might go along with something. I don't know. It is very, the energy is chaotic. And I don't think there's a winner here. I think the Republicans are mad and the Democrats are mad. And I mean the
Yeah.
constituents.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get
I get
something?
it. Well, I just threw a couple of cards on it, and I'd read on it before, and I felt like there may be a short shutdown. It didn't feel like it was extremely long, but I get that, there's fighting on all aisles.
Yeah.
It's going to be a bit
Up
of a
until
bloodbath.
today, I got shut down. Up until right now, I got shut down. So that was the Two of Pentacles.
Four of Pentacles. So
Four
it's like they're trying
Pentacles.
to hold on to the money,
Okay.
onto the security there. When I ask, I get the Sun, which is a yes, but it can also mean success too. With in returns to that, I get the money being out of balance, but then there'll be a lot of hard work to fix it. So solutions. I feel like there's going to have to be some kind of negotiation there to get it passed, and I do feel like it will get passed.
Eventually, yeah.
His tax cuts
Yes.
and a lot of the things that they want to cut from the budget. I do see some of those things being enacted, but I kind of feel like it's going to be a bit of chaos in the meantime.
See, if the Dems were better about messaging, they could get out right now before the damn budget and say, this is the budget and we're not going to vote for it. And here's why. And they could start educating people in advance. They could even go on Fox News, like Pete Buttigieg showed them. You can go on Fox News and you can do it. But they're not good at budgeting or messaging. They just sit there and like scared or something. And then they, at the last minute, they fall in line,
But I see that changing with the Democratic Party too. I mean, the Republican Party is going to implode because of the Trump and all the MAGA craziness, all the chaos that they like to throw. But I do see Democrats getting better with the messaging. It's like you can't be the nice guy when you're dealing with rational people. I mean, you have to kind of play fire with fire and kind of match that level because there's so much at stake. But I do see them getting better with that. Yeah, and Al Green.
Al Green did it, man. He stood up and he said, "I'll take whatever punishment you're going to give me. I need to say something," which was awesome. That was awesome. And then of course Jasmine Crockett and Maxwell Frost and a bunch of others walked out. Not everybody, not all the Dems, and then AOC didn't even show up. Katanji didn't show up. So people, but you know what? Jasmine Crockett said something that I didn't realize until I saw the video later. She said they put fillers. They put people in those Democratic seats. They gave those seats away who didn't show up. And she said, nobody's going to put somebody in my seat. I'm going to be in my seat. And then I'm going to get up and walk out, which I think was the right thing to do. Because one of the pictures shows a kid, like a young kid, sitting in one of the seats.
Oh, really?
They just I
didn't watch it, but I saw photos after he gave a speech and he was giving people handshakes and all that. And the Democratic side, I mean, there was a lot of empty seats there.
A lot of empty seats.
People stayed.
No, not some did, but a lot of them didn't.
And I'll say, I was telling you beforehand, I wasn't very impressed with Slotkin's reaction to it. I mean, I don't think it went far enough. It was talking about, oh, let's work across aisles on certain things. And she's voted for quite a few of his cabinet nominations. So I wasn't really all that impressed. I did see part of Bernie's response, and I thought that was great.
Yeah. Look, I put in the end result, you guys, Kevin and I go to the polls and we vote blue. The bottom line is when it counts, we vote blue. However, I think we need to have an open dialogue and we need to be encouraging our senators and our reps to do the right thing. And so if I've got an opinion or my guides have an opinion about an elected official, I'm going to say it. I'm not milquetoast. This is our whole democracy is on the line. This is not George W. Bush, which was bad enough. This is truly a coup has happened.
Absolutely.
And he's breaking laws right and left. And the Democrats will be judged in history one way or the other.
Absolutely. I mean, that's why they're dismantling all of the agencies and getting rid of people. It's It's to downsize the government. It's
I
to
mean,
create chaos and stop anybody that's going to stand up against him, right? I mean, they were actually asking people who they voted for in the 2024 election and in the FBI and letting some of those people
right.
go. Yeah.
Loyalty pledges.
Hmm.
Before you can go to work in what should be a civilian, have nothing to do with the presidency. So, I think that maybe in a month or 6 weeks, you guys that are saying we're being hard on, or I'm being hard on Democrats, you might be changing your mind. And I think a month to 6 weeks is a long time to wait to voice your opinion.
Yeah.
But so do you see, go ahead.
Oh, I agree with you. But like I said, I do get like the sense of urgency with Democrats and them really working on getting that
Changing.
fiery messaging. Yeah. And so there's going to be changes in the Democratic Party too. It doesn't feel like it's an implosion, but this fiery progressive energy, this youthful energy, I do see stepping up and taking leadership positions and getting a lot of attention. And I think it's going to be really good for our party.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
We've
Do
needed that for
you
a while.
see Right. I mean, the Dems are gonna wake up. They're every day they're kind of catching on to the
Hmm.
severity of the problem. Um, I'm not sure if I've caught your reading on Medicaid. I've always saw them going after Medicaid, and I'm not sure how much we can protect it. When it comes to Social Security, I see them just messing with it. Like your check is late, your check is short, your it's just
They're
chaos
trying
is
to
what I
start
don't
that propaganda with it to say that, 100 people that have been deceased for 200 years
yes,
are claiming it. And
right.
what President Musk called it the biggest Ponzi scheme. So they're trying to put the negative messaging towards it because that's what their ultimate goal is, to get rid of it. I agree. I don't see Social Security um, being cut, although, like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if there's delays or, getting rid of a bunch of the staffing for it. So people, they have any issues, can't get any relief. Um, I do see cuts to Medicaid. I don't think it's going to go quite as far as, eliminating it, but I do see some significant cuts there. But that's
I
going to
just
be what wakes people up. I mean, unfortunately, I feel bad for
yeah.
everybody suffering in the meantime, but you know, for those that aren't woken up, getting rid of somebody's health care or their parents, if they're in nursing homes and Medicaid does the coverage for that, I mean, it's going to affect so many people and a lot of the Republican base too that are
A
really
lot of
dependent on
Republican
it.
base.
Yeah. Mhm.
Some of you guys are mentioning extrajudicial. Now, I talked about extrajudicial a lot last year, but I don't know what y'all are talking about. You're just saying the word, and I don't know what the question is. So, can somebody put the word with a whole question so I know what you're talking about when you're saying extrajudicial, which just means outside of the court,
Yeah.
which is basically what Trump is doing. He's saying I'm just going to make all these laws and rules myself, and not go through the court system, which is
Mhm.
not correct, right? Um, yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about, Kevin?
Well, I mean, people in the chat are saying too, it's not even just the people that will be affected, but a lot of hospitals, especially in rural communities and clinics, will be closed down if they do cuts to it. Yeah. I don't
And
know.
staff, people will lose their
Mhm.
jobs. I mean, it's going to have a ripple effect, and that's what's going to
Absolutely.
put people in the streets, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
That
that's
is,
what I'm saying.
I think anyway. I mean, we didn't get in the streets over the school shootings, right? Like,
Mhm.
so I don't. There seems to be. I'm waiting for the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, what is the thing that's going to be the
Yeah.
thing that causes everybody to say, "That's it. We've had enough," and we're getting in the streets. And then once they're in the streets, I feel like they're in the streets. Like, I don't feel like
Yeah.
this, like, oh, we protested on Saturday. I feel like it's an ongoing surge.
Yeah, absolutely. And we chatted before we went live and, you know, seeing all of this stuff going into place, I don't think enough MAGAs have woken up yet, but I do see more and more waking up and more questions about it. I'll say earlier this week, I went to bingo on Monday night with my mom, and you know, not to stereotype people, but there were some older ladies behind me that, if I were to guess or use my intuition, they felt like they were Trump voters. But I could be wrong. I don't know that for sure. But they were going on and on about Elon and Doge and how crazy all of these cuts are, and even talking
Nice.
about Medicaid. So I think that some people are starting to wake up.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're getting there.
And those people are not well. You know what I mean?
No.
Like those people are armed and they are not.
Well, you don't want to mess with bingo ladies.
Yeah.
Because they get upset.
I wasn't even talking about the bingo ladies.
I know.
The bingo ladies are armed and they're not well. Okay.
They got their dabbers. They'll get you.
Oh my God, they have their dabbers, I was actually talking about the Trumpers, but I won't mess with the bingo ladies either.
No, no. You don't want to take away their health care.
I don't want to do nothing to no bingo ladies.
No.
What do you, this upsets me actually. This kind of is one of those things that was like my gut punch. The parks. I really see him doing a number on our national parks.
Yeah.
And that's also going to make the MAGAs mad because they're going to take away, in the western part of the country, there's all this BLM land, Bureau of Land Management, and people use that to go van lifing. That's where you go off road and you can park for whatever a long time, maybe even for free. You can hunt on that land. You can 4-wheel drive on that land. You can snowboard. It's really public land in a lot of ways. And I feel like there's going to be gates and locks. And I think the parks are also going to be limited because they don't have staff. And that's going to hurt hunters and fishermen who are MAGAs. What do you feel like? Do you feel like this park stuff is going to get even worse? Or do you feel like it's going to have an impact on the MAGAs?
I don't know about a direct impact with MAGAs, but I do feel like a lot of resources going to keep the parks funded and all of that. I see a lot of cuts there, and I actually wouldn't be surprised if he tries to sell some of the lands for resources for drilling or lumber. Yeah.
Or resorts.
Yeah.
Like I could see him just selling it to Joe Blow to put in like a Hyatt in the Yosemite. You know what I mean? Like that's him. Or put a Trump Tower, or right in the middle of Yosemite. Swear to God.
Talking about he's the greatest president's great in history, even greater than George Washington. I heard. I guess he was alluding.
Yes, that's what he said. That's why I couldn't watch it. I couldn't.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have a TV anymore.
But I mean, he's chatted for years about being put on Mount Rushmore. I mean, that's how highly he thinks of himself. So.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I do feel like, unfortunately, a lot of the regulations for our own safety, for food, all of that's going to start to be cut. And you're going to see selling off federal land, and it's going to be a bit tough.
That's the part that's going to just get me right there. Is the parks and the natural beauty. It's just going to be horrible. It's going to be horrible.
Like I said too, I know that it's tough right now, but I do feel like there's going to be enough checks to keep our democracy in place, and I'm not feeling him in there for super long.
Nice.
I mean, even a month, all the damage that he's already created, and it feels like it's been 3 months, but it's only been really a month since he's been in there. Oh my
God, for real, right?
Everything that he's trying to dismantle so quickly. But I would be surprised if he's in there by summer, fall of this year. I feel like he's out pretty quickly.
So let me ask you, how does that happen? Like, so we talked a little bit about this, about like treason, maybe impeachment, right? So for that to happen, Congress would have to be upset enough to join the Dems, and SCOTUS would have to be upset enough to back it up. Or change their mind or whatever. So is there another way this can happen, or do you feel like those things will happen?
Well, and I wouldn't put it past his cabinet. I know that most of them are his loyal followers, but I would not be surprised if JD Vance talks to them behind the scenes to try to get in there too.
For
I don't
real.
necessarily see him getting in there, but what's that, the 24th Amendment where they can remove him if he's not there, not able to serve? I feel like that being an option too.
And I have this epiphany that
Hmm.
so you have Musk and Trump, but then you have Teal and and Vance.
Hmm.
It's the same. And
Yeah,
once they get rid of, I think Teal anyway wants to get rid of Musk and Trump, and then Teal is sort of seeing how does Musk do this, right? Like how
yeah,
can I just feel like Musk is the wrecking ball. Like he's the one who's going to take the fall. He's going to be the scapegoat. They're going to let him take all of the fall, and Trump is
yeah.
going to be like, it was him all along. It was this crazy dude, not me. But
I,
it's not really going to work. It's going to blow
mhm.
back on Trump, I think.
Oh, I
20
agree
Thank
100%
you.
with that, Susan. Like he'll be the fall guy for it all. I actually saw Musk fleeing, and it felt like he was fleeing for his life, but leaving the country,
Yes,
being
yes,
terrified.
yes, yes, yes,
Um,
yes.
but I agree, that's what Trump would do. But I've always said since he's picked JD Vance, that he didn't actually pick JD Vance. He was
Right.
chosen for him because
Exactly.
the elites, they like how Trump can get his base excited and want his base of support, but they don't actually like all the chaos um, that comes along with Trump. So part of their thing is, sure, he can get in there for a little bit, but their ultimate goal is to get JD Vance
That's right.
and the person behind Project 2025 to get their agenda passed.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yes, 100%. 100%. But I just don't see it. Like I don't see
Yeah,
I don't know why, but I don't see Vance in the Oval
I don't
Office, and
either.
I don't see Johnson in the Oval Office. And I would say to you guys that I feel like in the last couple of weeks, Kamala Harris got back into my energy, and maybe I
No,
could give her
interesting.
40%, like literally just 40% chance of getting
Mhm,
back in there through some kind of like if the election was RIGGED, then
mhm.
we're going to give it, it's a correction. We're going to correct this, right? We're going to give it to her.
Yeah.
Um, but I really only get like 40% for that. What do you think? Who would be in
I
there?
don't know. It's interesting to me, and I said it before the election. I shared my thoughts about. I don't think that it was fair. I think that it was stolen. I mean, you can believe me or don't believe me, um,
Me
but there
too.
was definitely interference with that. I think most probably feel the same way. But it's interesting because when we were talking about inauguration before he was inaugurated, I wasn't seeing anybody being inaugurated. I felt like Biden may actually have to do something, and it would be a bit unprecedented. We chatted about that. But even so, now as I focus in, I see Trump being removed, but um, I'm not feeling JD Vance, but I'm not necessarily picking up Kamala right now either.
I'm not
And I
either.
don't know if
I
that's
don't
because
know.
she doesn't want it and she doesn't want to step in to clean up all the nightmare it's going
I
to
wouldn't
be.
blame her. I
Maybe it
would
goes
not
to a
blame
new
her.
election. I don't know. Would you feel like we were talking about ways to remove him, but also I feel another way would be if he were to try to do something like send the military on the people and declare martial law, could it be the military that actually removes him?
Yes, yes, that was
Hmm.
my other working theory.
Yeah.
And generally, that was my like impeachment and then the military. It was
Hmm.
just this last week that Kamala came back into the chat room, but
Yeah.
I was getting a military situation. Um, I really do. I really
Yeah.
honestly do get a military. I could see us having some sort of military intervention. Um, and then I don't know what happens. I mean, are you saying that you see a military general as our president or as a caretaker president or as a interim timeout
I don't
situation?
know if it would be a military general. I'm not saying, to be honest with you, it's such heavy energy to actually fall through. It's kind of hard to say, but it could be some kind of military response to remove him, and then maybe there's an interim president until they have another election, or maybe Kamala will decide that she wants it if since it was stolen from her. I don't know. I'm not necessarily feeling her right now.
Yeah, I know. I agree with you.
Mhm.
I agree with you. It, yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing that needs to happen, you guys, unfortunately, in my opinion, is from what I'm seeing from the guides, is that Americans haven't had enough of their lesson yet too many of them still think that everything is fine. I'm still
Hmm.
getting my paycheck. You know, they don't care about mom or dad or grandma getting their Medicaid. They don't care. They don't care about the government workers. They don't care. As long as they're getting their thing, they're starting to care about the eggs. They're starting to care about the prices going up.
Yeah.
But we kind of have to get these great big huge group of people to be on board.
Hmm.
Otherwise, if you remove the presidency, then you really do, in my opinion, have the potential for a civil war.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Mm,
I think Kamala should keep a low profile. I
I
think
agree.
that's a wise idea right now because
Mhm.
this man is crazy right here. Um, yeah. So we're in a kind of wait and see. The thing that
Mhm.
I would suggest is everybody um, prepare in the sense that I think we're in better shape because we know, like I said to somebody today, we see the light down the tracks and we know it's a train. You
Yeah.
know, the MAGAs are sitting up picnic tables on the tracks. You know, we're not doing that. We're like,
They're gonna
okay,
have a rude wake-up call, aren't they?
yeah, we're gonna take
Mhm.
care of our things. You know, we're not maybe not gonna make any huge purchases. We're gonna maybe you know, take care of our finances, do whatever we can. So yeah, the MAGAs are the ones that are really gonna be really
Mhm.
be caught off guard.
Yeah. And I think it's important too, and we were chatting about this at the beginning of the show, especially for all the light workers, empaths, sensitives in our community. It's so important right now, I think, just to focus in on ourself and our self-care and stay motivated on our own goals and the things that we want to manifest and create for ourselves. We have to be aware of what's going on, but not absorbing that all, which isn't easy. So almost like if you're feeling stuck in the fear or the anger, those lower vibrations, allow it to push you forward to act upon and speak up, for what you believe, but don't allow it to consume you and to take away your hope. I think that that's the most important thing right now. Good self-care and grounding practices, because energy's so heavy that we're going through.
Because we've got
Mm.
each other. We've got these
Yeah.
communities. We've got
The one.
so much more than they do. All they have is fear and anger and
Yeah.
vitriol, and we have love and all these beautiful people, and we're going to support each other through this. The guides keep saying it's going to be a little bit like the pandemic, right? Like
Yeah.
you go into the store, this aisle, there's no food on that aisle. You got to go over here and buy whatever they got, you know? We adjusted, we made it through there. We did the
Yeah.
best we could.
Well, and that's really going to be that community that keeps us all together to, through some of the hardships too. But it just kind of hit me too. Probably the only positive thing that Trump did was actually kind of bring our group of light workers together, right? So at least we all
It's
have each other
community.
to kind of manage through it. Yeah. I mean, it started in 2016. I didn't have a channel. I wasn't reading at that time, but I started following a lot of the pioneers in our community and watched it grow and even our audiences just kind of grow throughout it too. So there's a lot of love
Yeah.
and support here for one another. We are going to get through it, even if it's not the easiest.
Even if it's not the most fun thing. Anna
Hmm.
Maria Wolf said you just had
Oh,
an
interesting.
earthquake. I am assuming that's Washington State by the look of the dog uh, and the snow. Yeah. I think you were just saying earlier that you were feeling some earthquakes, Kevin, but you
Hmm.
were saying the bigger ones maybe over in Asia or South Asia, and maybe some
Hmm.
moderate ones or
No,
in the
well, I feel like there's significant earthquake activity all around, even volcanoes and stuff. I'm not picking up on like a massive, devastating earthquake on the West Coast right now. I was feeling like a pretty devastating one. My first hit was maybe Japan or somewhere over in Asia.
okay.
Um, but I think we're gonna have, maybe some fives and sixes on the West Coast.
Yes,
Mhm.
clusters. I
Yeah.
get clusters of earthquakes, but you guys handle it really well. Your codes are really high. Your building codes are really high, so that's good.
There's a lot more
Um,
infrastructure. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You know, I did you. What did you say? Did you say Korea?
I said Japan, but it feels like it's over in there. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Korea.
Okay, okay,
Mhm.
cool. Well, we'll just send prayers out, guys. It really does work.
Yep.
Do send prayers out. And anybody like Aspie over here is having her job is literally trying to take her out. You
Mm.
guys, take steps to, maybe even just have a conversation with yourself. And it's the same thing with Trump, right? Where we have to have this conversation and say, I'm going to take a deep breath and I'm going to create a wall around me because I'm not going to let this man or this job or this
Mhm.
relationship take my health out.
Yeah.
We have to learn how to create some sort of barrier between us and that, or release it, or put it in some different perspective, right?
Yeah. That
So
protection. I imagine a Reiki bubble, and I fill it with Reiki energy and protection, kind of blocking out my energy, so outside people or situations aren't taking away my personal power. But yeah,
that's it.
it. Mhm. And doing a lot of grounding activities, yoga, deep breathing, meditation. It's a little cold where I am, but I love to go outside and in my garden. That's where I love to rest and recharge, do self Reiki. So if you're in a warmer climate, um,
Nice.
going outside, going for a walk in the forest, connecting to Mother Nature. Um, Probably not too long for me before spring's here, but it's going to be so important to manage our energy levels and put up that protection to manage all this stress.
I mean, it's super important, Aspie. I
Mhm.
hope you take care of yourself, okay, dear.
Yeah.
One or two more questions. Laura Wright says, "Will Trump get put in? Will put a justice on SCOTUS? Will Eileen Cannon be a justice? Oh, Lord have mercy." Um, well, I did get a sense that he might go after Thomas and try to get Thomas to resign
Just
or
let me
step
know.
down, but Thomas, I mean, why would Thomas listen to him? Thomas doesn't listen to anybody.
Right?
Seriously.
I don't
Um,
see Eileen Cannon being a justice. I think that there would even be Republicans outraged by that and not go along with it.
do you really? Really? I don't
Mhm.
give him that much credit, but
I hear you, but I
I
don't
hope so.
see her as a justice.
Now,
I'm
unless there
looking
was an
forward to.
accident, unless somebody flew out a window somewhere.
Mm, yeah. And somebody in the chat just said obsidian is good for protection too. Yeah, I have a
Nice.
big
Yeah, yeah.
obsidian
Woo,
crystal
there you
here.
go.
So
Yeah.
so yeah, crystals can be good at that too. Is he gonna add a justice on the
Hey,
situation?
Ron, good to see you, Ron. Unconditional love. Um, yeah, Thomas is a DEI hire, apparently. Yeah.
My first thought was no, but there's plans there to put somebody in there. It's a
Wow.
turning point, but it's not grounded in reality. It's like there's a lot of options or illusions, delusions kind of energy there. So I don't know if he'll have the opportunity to put somebody in, but they will absolutely try to put another justice in there. My first thought was no, though. Maybe he's not in there long enough. But I definitely don't see Eileen Cannon as a justice.
Well, that's some good news, you guys.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm not picking that up
That
at
is
all.
seriously some good news. Yeah, no, I don't think any of us can stand to hear his voice. I really can't.
Yeah.
Um,
A lot of people in the chat are asking, do we see Zelensky remaining safe?
oh, okay. I didn't even see that question. Thank you.
I'll pull it up.
Well, thank you. I have seen many attacks on him. I mean, he has been near miss
Hmm.
many
Like weekend.
times,
Hmm.
many times. So this is his safety is always a concern, if you ask me.
Hmm.
Um, I'm more kind of worried about his wife right at this exact moment.
Oh,
Um,
interesting. I just had the Empress jump out, so it could be that would be.
yikes. Uh, um, I have a follow-up question to this that I think is
Mhm.
interesting. Um,
I feel like there's a lot of resources being placed for their protection, but I agree. I mean, I have the Two of Cups. It's like the relationship, and then the
see
lovers.
that
with the
That's Russia
with
for you.
the,
That's what
yeah.
Russia will do.
But
That's
I'm
a
not necessarily picking that up either. Like
right,
I think that
right.
they will remain safe, but there will definitely be more attempts there.
Here's something I think that's even more probable. So there's people saying that 45 is trying to convince Zelensky to step down as
Hmm.
part of a peace deal, and then telling Ukrainians, I'll do this thing. This guy's gotta step down, and then no more war and everything is fine. And then the plan is to put a stooge, the guides are saying a stooge, I guess that means a plant,
Yeah.
in for Zelensky. Zelensky's got such a big heart that if he thought that him stepping down would actually get peace and be helpful for his country, he would do it.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. What do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I agree with you. I think that he's very compassionate and loves his people, but I also don't think that he's a weak man by any means.
No,
And I don't think that the Ukrainians would go along with Trump
him
putting
stepping
somebody in
down.
and demanding his resignation. I don't see that. But there will be continued pressure, I think. I mean, we already saw after that meeting a lot of Republicans calling for him to step down, you know. I don't see him stepping down though. But I do feel like we're going to get to a point here where that war starts to de-escalate. So there may be some peace talk negotiations that go through. I also feel I feel a lot of instability for Russia, and I don't feel like the Putin regime is going to be in place for very much longer.
Let's look at Putin for a second, because
Mm.
I have not said one word about that man's health for over a year, because I got tired of knowing he was going to die and he never does. Okay, so I was like,
That's a
forget
hard
it.
thing with the timing with it all, right? I
Right,
don't
right.
feel like he's well, but I agree.
But
It's
the guides just
frustrating.
told me like a week ago he is dying.
Yeah.
Hey, Libby from Meister Tarot's here. That he is. This is the first time the guides have told me in a year he is dying, and they said the world leaders know it. And I'm not saying it's going to be tomorrow, guys. I think it's 6 weeks to a couple of months.
Mhm.
But this, a dying man is not a good thing. That's a person who's got nothing to lose, nothing.
Mhm.
And so you could see some really weird, some desperate, I guess, is what I would say, moves. Do you get a sense for that?
Yeah, I do feel like there's gonna like I said, I do feel de-escalation coming up sooner rather than later. But I agree, I wouldn't be surprised if with Trump calling him a dictator and pretty much being a Russian asset, him trying to do something pretty bad in the meantime. But I agree. It's interesting because my guides told me he would demise in March, but I think that was last year or the year before. So maybe I got the
Right,
year wrong. But I feel
for real.
with heavy energy in March, I feel like Putin and Russia is definitely related to it as well. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
not well. I mean, he's got the Eight of Cups, which is often ill health.
Yeah.
In this deck, it's like, well, I don't see him going to the light per se, but it could be some kind of transition there because I think he's pretty soulless, if you ask me.
Oh my
Um,
God.
he's
That's such
losing
a
his
nice way
power,
to
his
say it.
strength. Yeah, yeah, he's not well. I would not be surprised if uh if he does pass. I've been actually kind of feeling that. I felt it last year, the year before, but timing's not the easiest. But I don't think he's got much life force around him.
Just me said, March just started.
It
Like
just
we got
started.
plenty of time. No, and I agree. And I'm pretty sure Kevin and I have agreed on this or talked about this, but Libby, and I can't find your comment now, but Libby was saying, take 45 and Netanyahu with him. And I've always seen those three connected, right? Like the axis of evil, literally. Um, do you pick up on that too? That when one goes, they kind of domino, maybe not all in the same day or the same week, but in some
Yeah. Well, I do feel
manner.
Trump's got to watch his health too, and I've been saying that for a while too. He's not well as
I mean,
well,
he
but
looks
I
terrible
don't know
too.
if it's more symbolic. So like when Putin goes, it's the
That's
downfall
true.
of Trump, maybe not
That's a
necessarily
good point.
physical death, but I agree that there's downfalls connected with them.
That's a good point symbolically. I need to remember that, but they speak in metaphor all the
Hmm.
time. So it could just be the downfall or the
Unknowingly.
defanging
Yeah.
of these peer do undoing of these people. And yeah,
Well, and it
that's
could be
true. Bonnie
not a
says they go
physical
in
death.
threes.
It could not necessarily be a physical death, but a death of his power, of his position, his career too.
Yeah.
I think it'll be very interesting, a lot of the information that comes out to the world when Putin does go. That could lead to the
Really? You think it'll
downfall
be
very
released
soon.
to the world?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I've been saying I feel like a massive revolution and uprising in Russia
In
for a while.
Russia, yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. I mean, you want to talk about a bad economy, right?
Yeah,
Their inflation is insane right now. Even when all this stuff happened with Russia and Ukraine, that was what the guides told me would be the downfall of Russia would be the people would rise
yeah,
up because of no food or the food is too high or the great cost of the war. So if you have a weakened Putin or Putin exits, then yeah, the people get in the streets and I think we both saw that or maybe it was just me, but I saw like a military type person
mhm,
take over because you got to control the people. You can't let
right.
them go too rowdy. This is Russia, right? So they put the kibosh on everything, and it becomes kind of like a lockdown situation. And then eventually, like within years, I see Russia becoming more of that open glasnost quasi democracy.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I do see a lot of positive changes once Putin's out. It may take some time for them to rebuild, but I agree. It does feel like it's more of a not such an adversary relationship with the West, um, but taking some time to actually kind of work together and actually be allies. It's not going to happen overnight, but it will happen eventually. I would say within like the next 8 to 10 years.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's Um, we did talk about the electric grid up near the border of Canada earlier today. Somebody's asking about that. I mean, I don't think they're going to shut down your grid. I just think your electricity is going to get a lot more expensive because
Yeah,
they're not going to be able to get it from Canada. Or if they do get it from Canada, it's going to be more expensive. So I think that could be a hardship for those states that are right there close to Canada. I don't
mhm,
see them shutting your electricity down
yeah.
though.
I see the trade war backfiring epically. I only see it being very short, and I see Trump folding on it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's gonna backfire. Really, a lot of stuff he does backfires, to be honest. I mean,
Yeah.
he doesn't really pull stuff off.
Mm,
Trade wars always backfired. Libby's right. Yeah. Yep.
yeah.
But it's just like what you said when you came in, Libby. We talked about it, the pump and dump. This is it backfiring or is he manipulating the market? You know what I mean? If he's manipulating the market, then the rich people are getting richer because everything goes on sale and they all rush out and buy those stocks at a good discount. And then the price goes back up and everybody, they're robbing us. Basically, they're robbing
Mhm.
us because
Yeah.
our in retirements are invested in the stock market. They're not able to pull out and buy and do all that stuff. They're just riding the roller coaster, right? So it's so wrong.
Yeah.
So wrong.
Yeah, and I
Um
guess, he's already backed off on motor vehicles, the automotive tariffs
yeah,
for
that's
a
right.
month.
He gave him
Mhm.
24 hours. Like, I'm gonna give you 24 hours to think about
I
your
I think
bad
he's I think
decisions.
it's like the next month. But like I
Oh, a
said,
month?
when
Okay.
costs start to go up, and they're gonna go up very quickly, 25% on a lot of goods, gas, um, materials, food, all of that, his base is going to let him know how unhappy they are with the
I
prices
mean, for
going way
real.
up. Yeah.
Because
So
his
I
base
don't
are the
see it
ones that
being
buy
very
those
long.
$80,000, trucks
Mhm.
that are now gonna be 100,000.
Yeah.
It's just it's mayhem. Really, he did it the first time around, right? That you, if you recall, it was just like, what is the guy say? Flood the zone with crap, right?
But do you feel like all of this chaos and pushing all of these executive orders in and doing all of this damage in such a short period of time, do you feel like it's because there's fear there because he doesn't know how
Yes,
long he's going to be in place?
yes,
That's my
yes,
feeling too. It's like,
yes.
let's dismantle everything and try to secure power. But I think he already knows it's not going to be very long term as well. So he's trying to do as much damage in as little time as possible.
Yes. It's like when the guides were saying to me, when you break the window in the jewelry store and the police are coming, you've got to get in there and get as much out as you can,
Yeah.
and and run out the door and run away. That is exactly the energy. It's like he knows I've only got this amount of time to wreck the joint, and then I'm going to be caught and I'm going to have to stop or leave the country or whatever he's going to do. I really think he thinks in his addled mind that he's going to blame it all on Elon. And Vance thinks he's going to blame it all on Trump and Elon.
Hmm.
Yeah, everybody's going to be pointing at each other.
It'll be
Yeah, he's
civil
doing
war
a smashing job.
within the party. It's going to be chaos. But I've always felt too, Trump brings down the whole Republican Party. So as he leaves, it's like the whole party's dismembered. He's dragging half of the party down with him.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, because when the MAGAs wake up to, they don't have Medicaid like we talked about earlier. They can't afford their medications. Their diabetes medications are through the roof. They don't get their chip. They don't get their insurance. All of their things are going to be gone. And then the
Yeah.
ones that can afford the $80,000 trucks are now paying 120 for them. And they're maybe their company is laying them off. When all those pain points come to bear, that's when those people are going to go berserk and they're going to get in the
Hmm.
streets and they're really going to be rowdy and crazy. And that's what the guides were like, if they're in the streets, let them, like literally just today when I was making myself dinner, the guide said, let them get arrested,
Yeah.
let them do whatever craziness they're going to do. Uh, you know what I mean? Like if that's
Yeah.
the energy, if you're at a protest and that's the energy, back up and let them take all that on them.
Absolutely. Can I just say too, somebody was asking for us to do like a meditation and all of that, which I don't think we have time for today. But I will say I was on your channel last month doing Reiki, and you can always go back to that. The energy's still flowing. So, and it was kind of
It,
a healing meditation too.
it
So
was amazing, you
something
guys.
that we have out there for you.
If you go to my channel and just search Kevin's name, all the videos that I did with him will come up. And anytime you want healing, you can just watch that video. And it was
And I
it
think
was
somebody
amazing.
timestamped it in the comments too, that you can
Oh,
see
nice.
before it
Okay,
starts.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and please do that, you guys. Please take advantage of all the free resources that you can, right? Bookmark
I
it,
have a
go
few
back
on
to
my
it every
channel as
day,
well.
whatever you need to do. It was powerful. It was
Yeah.
truly powerful healing, and that's really important right now. Touch by
Yeah.
Terrell, FFA. How you doing?
Okay.
Yeah, we're doing good. It's good to see you in the chat. We're about to wrap it up. Do you want to maybe, hey, I don't know how much longer you want to go, Kevin. I'm good, but um
I'm good for another question or two.
all right, let's do it.
Yeah, and I do have a few healings on my channel as well, as a
There you
resource
go.
here to kind of help us all get through it. Or if you want one-on-one, I offer those as well, or my classes. So lots of
Yes,
resources out there.
absolutely. And this is also, we shouldn't discount the vets.
Oh
Michael
yeah, they're
Cap
already
said
talking
vets.
about getting
Woo!
their resources. Yeah, and I think there were a lot of vets and a lot of Republicans that did vote blue this last election. I feel that very strongly.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a good amount of vets that are kind of on the MAGA train or Republican, but I think January 6th really changed a lot of their minds. But yeah, they'll be fighting when their assistance and resources are taken away as well.
You know, something that I got, and tell me, I want to know what you think about this. For some reason, I feel like 45 is going to go after active military. He's going to,
Mm-hmm.
like how he's messing up Social Security. So your check went to the wrong address, or it's the wrong amount, or it's just like mayhem. I feel like he's
Mm-hmm.
going to do that to the military. And I think that is also going to put the generals in a not a good mood. So like
Yeah.
I feel like they mess up the order, like like you're supposed to be deployed over here, but you get deployed over there, or your check is late, or the amount is like, just mess it up. And to me, this is what Putin's doing.
Mm-hmm.
He's literally just ripping our country apart from the inside out, right? Like
Yeah.
our mail was first, and then school vouchers, and then all of the cult. And now he's doing all this stuff with our government. I think he's going to do the same thing to the military. Do you have any feelings on that? Do you feel like that might come true?
Oh yeah, I agree. Like I said, I feel like there's the military actually standing up to Trump, and I think not even wanting to do a lot of, like I said, maybe to try to declare martial law, or like you were saying, maybe he talks about sending troops to Russia. I don't think that the military would stand for that. So there will be a lot of attacks, on the military, and I see them standing up to him. Like I said, it may be the military that takes him out.
I really think that was my working theory
Hmm.
until like today, is the military is gonna, or, and I have always seen it, like the marshals, right? So
Yeah.
here's another thing, you guys. Just because he has whatever that is, where he, immunity, he's
Hmm.
not immune if he breaks the law. That
Yeah.
if he's breaking a law, he's not immune. So if the court says, no, you can't do this, you can't make this special order, you have to reinstate these people or give them their jobs back, or whatever it is, and he doesn't do it, then he's in contempt of court, and the marshals can go in and actually grab him.
Yeah.
That's a thing. So it could be that there is some sort of military, whether it's the marshals or the real military, the other military.
Hmm.
There's a lot of, yeah, for he has immunity for official acts, and official acts is not breaking the law. If the court
Hmm.
says you have to do this, he has to do it. Our democracy is set up in that way, right? Yeah, the US Marshals don't mess around. So do you feel like, I mean, can you see a situation where some people in uniform with sidearms go into the Oval Office and haul him out?
Yeah. I
I
think
love
that's a
that.
very strong possibility. Yeah.
I
I could
love that.
absolutely
I
see
mean,
that.
that just made my whole week, Kevin.
Mm.
Love that.
Yeah, I see them being a part of the resistance against what he's doing to our country. Absolutely. Like I said, I almost feel like he tries to do something so far, like where he declares martial law and tries to send the
They-
military against the people, and that's not going to stand. People,
They're like,
the
no.
military will stand up for that. So, um,
Dr.
yeah.
Vicky Skirbo is here too. Good to see you. We talked about this earlier, and it turns out that Chauvin that was a state charge. So he can't. I don't think he can't pardon him if it's a state charge.
Mhm.
I think he wants to. I mean, when you go into his energy, he wants to do it. He wants to be king, obviously. What we're just talking about, right? Like he really does have rules or constraints on his power, and the courts are busy knocking him down, but he doesn't, he just keeps on going like the Energizer Bad Bunny.
Yeah. Yeah, we read on that earlier today. I wasn't feeling that happening, and some people were saying in the chat
Yeah. Yep. You nailed
that it
it.
was state purchase. So,
Yep. You
I
nailed
mean,
it.
but he would absolutely consider it if he could.
And I had asked you about P. Diddy, and you said he actually
Yeah, I'm
might,
feeling
he
more of
actually,
that. Yeah.
he might actually pardon P. Diddy. Oh, vey. And we read on the Tate brothers. So if you're just coming here, we read on a lot of these things earlier. So please watch from the beginning.
We covered a
Kevin
lot
saw
today.
the Tate brothers being locked up. What's that?
Mhm. So we covered a lot of
We covered a
topics.
lot, man. We've been on fire over here, y'all.
And it's going to be a
Um,
busy month too, so there'll be more to read on hopefully soon in our next show together.
woo, yeah, we read on the uh, budget. We read on just about everything as far as I can tell. Um,
Mm.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, can you imagine if he did pardon P. Diddy? That may cause a U.S. revolution too. I don't think his base would be very happy with that.
Yeah, I don't think his base would be
Mhm.
very happy with that.
I mean, they
I
were
don't.
pretty upset with the Epstein files that weren't released.
They are so upset about that. Well,
Calling
that
Pam
was,
Bondi out.
yeah, that was almost
Mhm.
that. Some of those video, I saw a video of this woman talking. It had that QAnon kind of energy, like,
Mhm.
we're going to find this out and then this is going to happen. And then the star's going to be lined up with this mountain. And I'm like, what is happening right now? It's like, what's in my coffee? I don't know.
Mm.
So yeah. What did you ask, Denise? With all this chaos, next dual show in 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, we may have to do something sooner.
Turbocharged. We were gonna have to get like a rotation on here and like just be on every week and just get everybody that's in the chat of FA and Dr. Vicky and Ron,
Yeah,
everybody. Just get everybody on here, like run through like a marathon of
we may
political
have to do
readings.
something soon. Like we said, there's going to be a lot in March, April, May.
I know, I know. So have you read just in general? Because when I ask, I don't like what I get. I think he could, it feels like his power blows up, like he gets more power or he feels more powerful in
Yeah,
March.
more.
Do you feel like
I would say
that
it
could be,
feels like he feels more empowered.
he feels more empowered in March.
Yeah.
But is there I don't know what my guides are talking about, and I am not responsible, and I am not from the
Mm.
country. Is there a bug you blow in, it blows up? They're showing me some kind of insect that you blow on and it blows up. I don't know what. It could be an alien bug because it's not
It
from,
could
I
be
don't
a
think it's from
stink bug
Earth.
if we're talking about Trump.
What's that?
It could be a stink bug if we're talking about Trump.
A stink bug. Okay, right, right. True that. True that. I'm not going to put
I
a
feel
bug up
like
near my mouth. But anyway,
part
I
of
think
this,
it's going to blow up like a balloon. Let's put it that way.
him feeling empowered, it almost feels like it's a constitutional crisis. Is what I just got. Like
Okay.
I said, maybe
So,
with some kind of declaration of martial law or some overreach to abuse his power as executive. Something big.
and because this is what
It's
I
our
got. I'm
birthday.
trying to piece it together. Is that the thing that triggers the response,
Yeah,
like the
it could be.
treason response?
Mm.
And is that in March that you think, and then the treason response is in April, or do you feel like it's more like May, June, July?
I'm feeling something big happening towards the end of the month and going into April. Even May feels like it's pretty big.
Yeah,
People were saying puffer fish,
a puffer fish.
not a
Okay.
not a bug, but
Do they blow up? I mean, this
they
thing
do
blows
blow
up.
up. Yeah,
Like it,
they
it
inflate.
gets so puffed up with his own, ego that he
Mhm.
literally just blows to smithereens.
Mm.
Um, so that could happen.
Yeah,
Um, that could happen. It's interesting.
yeah.
Very
It's going to be
interesting.
an interesting few months. Not to say that it's not going to be heavy, but I don't know. Kind of feels like
Oh
all hell
God, it's
breaks
a
loose.
tick. Chris Cool is right. I think it's a tick. Um,
I was sick.
so then let me ask you this question. Do you feel like by the end of like where the energy is now, you guys, this can change. People have free will. Okay. We're doing the best we can. Plus the energy is like literally trying to see in mud. But anyway, do you feel like by the end of the like summer, when do you feel like Trump is no longer in the White House?
I feel like there's few things in play with the timing. I think something could happen where he's removed in the spring. I'm feeling more than likely it feels like it's summer,
August.
maybe
Okay.
fall.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel like it could happen a little bit sooner too. I don't
I
know.
do
The energy
too.
just feels so explosive right now. Like nothing would surprise me.
Yeah, July 4th. There's some weird I think there's some heavy astrology around July 4th.
Oh, really?
Um, yeah, so that could be a very interesting thing to have something
Mhm.
happen around the 4th. I feel that. There's definitely some heavy energy, some breaking, like the energy can't hold anymore kind of thing.
I mean, I just had a thought come to mind, and I hope I'm wrong with it. But maybe that's where there's some kind of terrorism activity.
Yes. Yes. No, that could be true. It could be a false flag on top of that, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah. But I was always feeling with March too. I feel like that's where a lot of the protests start, like this
Yeah,
anger and people taking to
yeah,
the street.
right.
It almost has like a war-like energy to it. So I
Well,
wouldn't be
there's
surprised
Mars.
if there's yeah, even globally, maybe some escalation in some parts of the world. But it feels like it's kind of very similar energy in our own country too, with people standing up and um, protesting anger.
And for that to happen, you guys need to understand that think about think about how hard, how crazy way above that would cause these people to just throw everything down and walk out and start protesting. It would have to be
Mhm,
really egregious.
mhm.
So, just pace yourself. Um, Denise says, could Vance be out before 45?
I'm not picking that up. It feels like he
Mhm.
leaves with Trump.
Just
Like I said, I
after,
don't
almost like 1-2.
right.
You see them leaving
I don't think
together?
before though. But I don't see Vance as president. Like I said,
I don't
so
either.
it
Not
there's something bigger to it that we're not quite getting just yet. Maybe we're not supposed to know just yet, but I
yeah.
don't see Vance as president.
I don't either. If I did, it would be for like days,
Mhm. Yeah, very
or
short.
hours. It
Mhm,
would be very, very short. And but I really do think they're just going to come out with all the evidence and just say, but even if they did, you guys, the American people wouldn't believe it. This is our problem. This is the
mhm,
problem. This is why they haven't come out with the evidence yet. Because who cares if you got evidence if you take it to the people and the people are like, we don't believe that. You're now reverse cooing us and we're in the streets and
mhm.
now you got a civil war, right? So that's
Yeah.
why the powers that be are trying to kind of do this in a way that doesn't cause more trouble.
His base has to be upset with him, I feel like, before that comes
That's
out.
what I keep saying.
Mhm,
Once his base is done with him, whatever trigger that is, then I think the other traps, the other triggers get
mhm.
set in motion
Yeah.
because his base is now calling for him to be removed. So now the Democrats can do it because the Republicans would join them.
Yeah. Can
Yeah.
I post this up real quick? It's not a question, but the YouTube channel Election Truth Alliance by Nathan Taylor. He goes over voter statistics. He's got a lot of interesting content and a lot of things that validate what we've said about the election. If people aren't familiar with that channel, have you seen some of his shows?
I
Mhm.
have. I mean, to me, this is all the stuff that I've been saying since December 7th.
Yeah.
But we do need that hard data. And then we need to be able to convince people. And I feel like they're preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
Once the MAGAs are upset, I'm telling you guys, when the MAGAs are upset, we need to get out of the way of that because that is going to
Mm,
be some smoke. That is going to be some heat. And
I
we
agree.
just don't want to be in that. Those people are going to be really, I mean, think about it. They've been played, and they're already not well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad he's doing it. And I feel like, do you feel like that person is safe?
Yeah, I do feel like he'll be safe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that there's people looking into it right now. Maybe there'll be some other measures needing to be taken place when more and more information comes out about this. But I've never felt like it coming in from our own government. I've always felt like it was foreign agents,
Me too.
our allies that bring it up.
Me too. I mean, that's why I said recently, I kind of think in a way some foreign entity is going to come in and fix us or invade us or help us or something, like um or give us the data and say, here it is, here's the dossier.
Mm,
It's all there. But again, it doesn't matter if Trumpers won't believe it. So we have to get to that point where um it some percentage, maybe 30, 40,
mhm.
50% of the Trumpers believe it. I don't think we're going to get to 100.
No, no. But I do see more and more Republicans and even MAGA starting to turn on Trump. We're already starting to see it with these town
We're starting
halls
to see it
in protest. Yeah.
when
But
their
then
money
again, too,
gets hurt.
there was a decent amount of Republicans I felt like that voted blue this last election. So,
Those numbers were wrong. She won.
mhm.
Period. End of story. She won. Period. End of story. I will die on that hill. Those numbers were
Yep,
wrong. They were
likewise.
manipulated. And I've said it since the day after the election. This is what happened. Um, it's just a matter of fixing it. And think about that. Think about her knowing that or having that inkling of it, right? I
Oh, I think
mean,
she
I don't
knows. They know.
especially now, I think they
Mhm.
know. I mean, I think they did the real forensic, thing. The last thing I want to say too, though, is because this is really important. Maybe we talked about it last time. I'm not sure, but I feel like the machines, or actually, I talked about it when I was live with Afefe. I think the machines will be fixed. I think the people that make the machines, and I'm gonna not use some words here because they're very litigious, but I think
Yeah.
they're like, we don't want to be a part of this. We're going to take control of our machines and we're going to make sure that they're not hackable. So I
Mhm.
feel like 2026 is mostly going to go it's mostly a good
Yeah. Well, I
VOTE.
think if that's revealed too, if there's truth that comes out there about the alleged manipulation, um, then they'll be able to fix it before the midterms.
I think they know. I think they know
Mhm.
exactly what happened and they're going to take measures. But then, I do think I don't know that 45 is going to be in there, but if he is in there, some other scoundrels in there, they're going to try, or even if it's not, the Republicans,
Mhm.
hello,
Oh, yeah.
the
I mean, they
Republicans,
do all
they've been
the
doing this for a long time, y'all. Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell.
yeah.
I mean, I've been saying that about Mitch McConnell. He can't win. It's not statistically possible for him to win. His
Well, they
district is
suppress voters.
Louisville, where I'm from, and he can't win
Mhm.
that.
Yeah. They don't make it fair. They suppress votes. They make it harder to vote, especially in big cities where there's more
That's true.
Democratic turnout. They've been playing that game for a while. But I do feel in the long run, while things are very unstable right now, it's ultimately showing our weaknesses so that we can strengthen, our
That's right.
democracy, our constitution, our voting rights, that kind of thing. So it's not easy in the meantime, seeing everything being dismantled. Um, but in the end, bigger picture, we'll be able to put those safeguards so that they can't be threatened again.
It's important. This is
Mhm.
important. You're right. It's important that we see what's wrong so we can
Yeah,
fix it. It's 100%. And what would be horrible is if we saw what was wrong and we didn't fix it and we just put it under the rug. That
yeah,
would be a travesty, right? But we're gonna fix it, I think, because it's gonna break all the way down until we do fix it, I think.
absolutely.
Yeah, we do need an updated constitution. I mean, my God, the amendments, I don't know when the last amendment was done, but it was too long ago.
Mhm.
So we do need that. Yeah, I know I'm from Louisville. I know how to pronounce it. I really am from Louisville. I mean, Louisville or however foreigners say it, but we just say it Louisville.
Hmm.
But yeah, so and Mitch lives there, and he gets people protest at his house all the time. Uh,
Can I say while we're talking about Kentucky, just a hit that I got um, with McConnell saying that he's not running for another term, and I've said I don't even think he'll finish this term out. But I know that they changed the laws in the state where the Democratic governor can't put a Democrat in, but I would not be surprised if Bashir still does that and challenges it.
he
And I
will.
actually feel Bashir, he may not take McConnell's seat, but I see him as a U.S. senator. I think
Oh,
after
really?
this term. Hmm.
Okay, I can get behind that. I think he will do that because Bashir has even come out and said the Kentucky Constitution says that he gets to replace Mitch McConnell.
Hmm.
They didn't change the Constitution; they changed a law. So
Yeah.
he's going to. You're right. He's going to challenge that. And do you feel like he's going to win? Do you feel like he's going to? Uh,
I feel a
I feel like
Democrat taking his seat.
yeah, I feel like he's just gonna appoint the Democrat and be like,
Mhm.
just try me. I don't care.
Yeah. I
So what
think
we're
he may
talking
try to
about,
run for president in 2028. I'm not necessarily feeling that being successful, but I see
Bashir,
Bashir after his term's up. I see him as a senator.
I love that. I do see him as a senator.
Mhm.
I do. He's young, and
Yeah.
he, being a senator positions him towards being a president, right? So I think
Yeah.
that I don't. I mean, he's okay. I think he's a great governor for Kentucky because Kentucky's so conservative. Again, if Kentucky can vote for a Democratic governor, yet Mitch McConnell, I'm just
Mm.
telling you guys, it doesn't make any sense.
He's a
Um,
very popular
he's a pretty
figure in the
popular
state.
government. I mean, I think he's
Yeah.
a good guy. He's a
Yep.
little conservative, but that makes sense. I think Pete Buttigieg is not over, obviously. Do you
Yeah.
see anything coming up for him in the next 6 months or year?
Well, there's obviously a lot of reports of him running for that Senate race in Michigan. I think he's going to consider it, and I think if he were to do it, I think he would absolutely win. I'm almost feeling like maybe he looks into it and doesn't do it. I see him as a vice president at some point and eventually president.
You don't see him as Secretary of State. I've always seen him as Secretary of
Yeah,
State
I
because
felt like there were opportunities for that too, but I do think he'll make another run for president. I think in 2028, it's going to be a very large field. I feel like maybe it's VP, maybe it's Secretary of State and VP and president, down the line. But he's
he is
definitely
so
destined
good.
for huge things.
He is still on social media giving people just
Yeah,
whoopings. He's on social media all the time, just saying, "Here's another thing." I just love that guy.
and
Um,
he's part of that fiery Democratic um,
yes,
change with like the messaging coming in with it too. I think he'll be a front runner in the messaging campaign and be very successful.
I mean, he showed us that a Dem can go
Mhm.
on Fox News and hold their own.
Yeah.
He did. He was like, he had no problem talking to those people and holding his own and getting some really good points in. Um,
Yeah.
So Denise knows politics says that Bashir doesn't have a dim replacement. So he doesn't have somebody he can replace as a dim.
Mhm.
Um,
That's why I don't think he would do it before his term's up.
I see.
Mhm.
Does anybody know when
But
his term is up?
afterward,
Is it up in 26 or 28? I wonder.
I think it's 27. I think because
Oh,
he had an
27.
off year election. I think in
Okay,
23.
well that makes sense. All
Yeah.
right.
Because
Yeah,
remember, that was one of these special elections. All of these special elections going blue
right.
before the presidency, but then everybody just decided to vote Trump, right?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Makes no sense.
It makes absolutely no sense. Um, yeah, Trudeau has really shined, hasn't he?
Mm,
It's too bad that he stepped down, but he is the man of the hour. I feel like he's doing the thing. He's eloquent. He's stern. Um,
yeah.
he's just
I
doing
heard that
great.
he
I
gave a
think
really good speech today, kind of not necessarily attacking Trump, but calling him out. I didn't listen to it, but I heard that he had a very good speech either
I've seen
today or
one of his
yesterday.
speeches yesterday was
Mhm.
fantastic. I mean, just so measured, but at the same time saying we're not gonna we're not gonna play this game with you,
Not gonna be
right? Like
bullied.
we're not gonna,
Mhm.
just a little actually reminds me of Zelensky sitting in the Oval
Mm,
Office going,
yeah.
like this is ridiculous, right? Um, yeah, so we did read on Social Security. We read on so many things, you guys, if you're just coming in, because I know the West Coast is so much, earlier than us.
Earlier, yeah.
Um, it's there. So hopefully you'll watch the video from the beginning. Trudeau is coming to an end soon because he's stepping down.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't remember when it is over. But he's not acting like a lame duck leader. I mean, he's literally out there leading Canada. I mean, I really think he's going out on a high note, which is great for him, really and truly. Yeah,
Mm.
Trudeau called him Donald.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. I mean, and he does it without any rancor. It's
Mhm.
Canadians, y'all can do that stuff.
Well,
We
Zelensky
have
did the
rancor
same
here.
thing with Vance in their meeting, calling him JD. So,
Yes. Yes. Right.
not kissing the
Right.
ring or, you know, um, kind of standing up.
Oh,
Yeah.
March 9th. Oh my God, Trudeau is going to be gone soon. March 9th.
Oh, yeah.
That's too bad. Um, well, I wish the best for Canada because I'm sorry that we've been, you know, um, pricks down here, honestly.
Crazy neighbors.
Crazy neighbors,
Yeah. Crazy
bad
neighbors.
leadership. It's not
Yeah.
us. We love you, Canada. It's our crazy leader that we didn't vote for, that we
Yeah.
worked hard to not get elected. Um, But yeah, it is exhausting. We were just talking. Last thing we're gonna say is go on my channel and look up Kevin on my channel. Just search Kevin when you're on my channel, and you'll see he did a great healing on my channel, and it's a beautiful meditation. So if you want to get rejuvenated, if you want to feel better, that is an option, right? You can always check
Yeah.
out that video. And if you go to his channel, he's got videos as well where he does healings. He has a membership where he does Reiki healings
Mhm.
on his members. He's got Reiki classes coming up. You can check out that at kevinslovingvibrations.com.
Thank
You
you,
can check out,
Susan.
you're welcome. And you can check out mine. I've got a huge membership, lots of people. We have a whole politics side where you can talk politics and not worry about anybody censoring you or anybody doing anything else that might be weird. And we have a spiritual side, and you can check that out on my website, susanlynnmedium.com. Just take really good care of yourselves, everybody. We need all of us to get through this together. Okay.
Yeah.
So breathe, take good care of yourselves, get rest, take time out. It's not going to be over tomorrow. It's not going to be over next month. So we just need to know that so we can just keep eating right and taking care of ourselves so we can get through this.
Yeah. And I think also doing your best just to try to stay present and take things day by day, not jumping into the what ifs of things that haven't happened yet a month down the line, but just be really present, grounded in today. What can I do today to get through it? But we have a wonderful community here helping to support each other to get through this. Um, and Susan puts out a lot of great content too to help kind of keep everybody calm during these trying times. So very
Thank
thankful
you.
for Susan. It's always a good time being here, Susan. I appreciate it.
It's always a good time. We have such a great talk. And
Mm,
Kevin is very accurate, you guys. Don't be sleeping on his readings, man. All right, you guys, y'all take really good care of yourselves. It's great to see you. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're both sending you hugs, and we'll see you again real soon, right here on YouTube land. Okay, take good
mm.
care.
Bye, everyone.